everybody. I am so happy that you're with me today, and I'm super happy that I have a dear friend with me who met as a stranger, came on my advisory board as a therapist, and we have become super good friends. We've gone to a few Mardi Gras balls together, and I just love her so much. I'm so happy that she has decided to spend today with me. I asked Dr. Rivers to join me today because not only is she running a thriving therapist business in Louisiana and Mississippi and is helping so many people, but way back when I first started story crafting, a small group of us got together and we said, let's test this out to make sure that we've got it the way we want it and to see if the program works. Well, let me tell you something. When a therapist writes you back and says it was life-changing, I knew I was onto something. I am going to talk to Dr. Rivers about why she thinks that narrative therapy and Unite story crafting is so effective, and then also spend a little bit of time getting to know what she is doing and what she's up to. I can't wait for you to meet her. She is my dear friend. She is a therapist, CEO, educator, and a champion for mental wellness, and she comes with all sorts of credentials, including a doctor of social work, a licensed clinical social worker, and a master of public health with her graduate degree. So thank you. Welcome, Dr. Rivers. Hi, Sheila. How are you today?
Hey, Lisa.
It's so good to see you. I used to be spoiled because I got to see you a lot more, but now with our lives being so busy, I feel like, I know you came to my event in October.
Yes.
But then and I think I saw you for 1 second. So aside from that, I really have missed seeing you and would love to catch up and find out what you've been up to and also have your perspective since we are an organization centered around mental health and you are a professional centered around mental health and have given us such great insight as a advisory board member. I just want to hear your perspective and then also let the audience learn how they can benefit from the services you offer. So first, just to get to know you a little better, for the audience to get to know you a little better, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where do you live? Where did you grow up? Let me hear about Sheila, the non-therapist.
Small town girl. Thank you. First of all, let me say thank you for having me on. Small town girl from North Louisiana. Raised in a really small town. There are no red lights. We have a railroad and a stop sign, and our family home is called On the Hill. It's the White House on the Hill.
Wait, where is this at?
Bayou, Louisiana.
Bayou? Where is
Bayou, Louisiana?
I've never heard of that. Where is that at?
It's North Louisiana. It's outside of Monroe. It's between Monroe and Vicksburg. I know that's a pretty large area, but once you get past Vicksburg and cross over into Louisiana, Tallulah, Delhi, Bayou, Rayville, Monroe. That's on I-20.
Is this kind of like a Cajun country-ish vibe or no?
No, it's woods, farmland, cotton, and a great community that always supports each other.
Wow.
Yeah.
When did you first decide that you were interested in the pursuit of a mental health degree? Like, what got you into that?
Actually, my son, my middle son, I'm a mom of 5 children.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. What are their ages?
Ooh.
Okay, wait.
I have a set of twins that are 40.
No way. You're 40.
Set of twins that are 40. Have a son after that. The twins are boy and girl. A son after that, he's 39. A daughter, she's 33. And the youngest child is 23.
See, this is why I love this podcast. You and I have known each other. I didn't know any of that. I didn't even know you had kids. We've hung out at Mardi Gras balls, and you're not talking about stuff like this.
No.
We're just
definitely not talking about that.
Jackson to Harry Connick Jr. or not. Okay, so you have 5 kids, and so your children or your son, you said, got you in?
My son, the third son, actually, he was diagnosed, and I was a very young teenage mom, high school. I had some amazing grandparents that helped me along this journey. So my middle son was diagnosed. I was married at 17. And my middle son was diagnosed with ADHD. Now we're talking late 80s, early 90s, approximately that time, when in our community, mental health was not something that we talked about. You didn't, that was just taboo. You were, and I was raised in a pretty religious household. So going to see a doctor or, being able to even discuss your feelings was something that was very taboo. You just don't talk about it. Kids did not have a voice, and you could not really express how you felt or what was going on with you. So I basically now on this side of it understand that people become part of the environment, and you basically do what you're taught. Okay. And what I was taught was, if you did something against family rules, then you got a spanking for it. And then no matter how bad it was, that's how bad the spanking was.
Oh my God.
Okay, exactly. So in that, I was married to a pretty abusive ex-husband now.
Did he spank?
Yes, yes. And so we got in trouble with CPS. And I don't want to, this is not an all moment. This is a moment of revelation, and where sometimes life just kind of leads you into a space of growth. And so that's the way I really have come, and at this age, and even before now, but at this age, to see that things happen in life for a purpose. And so with that, we got in trouble with CPS. I had an amazing social worker that touched my life. She says, I'm going to refer you to someone for counseling. I'd given her my story, told her the situation that I was in presently in my marriage, and she referred me to another social worker. And this social worker, she sat back in her chair after I gave her the story, and snot, and me and the kids are there. The ex-husband decided he did not want to go to this therapy session, but the therapist that was there, she said, you know what? You just don't know how to really be a mother. And let's talk about developmental skills and what ADHD means, and how do we handle that, and how do we handle his behavior? I had no idea what it was. Early 90s.
You must have been so frustrated, but then here you have this beautiful mentor who comes along, right?
Yes.
Oh.
And so she was so amazing. To this day, I have no idea who that lady is.
Oh my gosh, an angel.
An angel.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I call her. She said, what I want you to do is I want you to register at a community college and take a psychology class.
That's such interesting advice. You went from, instead of her being the advisor of, you've got a problem, she was like, you're going to become the solution.
You're going to become, it was definitely solution focused.
So great.
And so she was amazing. And again, like I said, to this day, I have no idea who she was. I cannot remember her. I remember she had antique furniture in her house, because I was a lover of antique furniture, still is. And I remember looking at her antique furniture in the house. So I can't see her face even to this day. But it was just an amazing experience. I took a psychology class. Long story short, took the class, fell in love with psychology. And so from that point on, I knew in this space, if I could become something that could help other people like myself, especially women, if I could become that, what did I need to do in order to become that? And so it took school, it took one class at a time, it took dropping out for the semesters, it took failing, it took just paying for semesters on my own. It was...
all while being a mom of 5 kids.
All while being a mama of 5 children and married in an abusive marriage.
And so what gave you the drive? You are so smart. Did you even know you were that smart back then?
No, I did not. Because I was a high school dropout.
Man.
High school dropout. I ended up graduating with a GED. Yeah.
That's a great success story.
Yeah.
Because I know from following you and, you know, some real discussions we've had,
Yes.
you are somebody who never stops. Like, you just keep adding credentials.
Oh, I do.
And you're not finished yet.
No. No.
How much higher can you get? How many more letters can you add to your business card?
We're going to have to flip it over after a while.
Exactly.
So, yeah. I'm not sure if I want to add any more letters. I think I just need to expound on what I have right now. I thought about going back to medical school, but my kids said no more.
Yeah. So would it be okay for me to ask how your son is doing?
He's amazing.
And how did you guys tackle the ADHD to make an improvement?
First we did medication, right? And again, we're talking early 90s,
Mm-hmm.
all right? So we did medication, diet change, and the more you know and understand, the more realistic boundaries you can put into place. And so with him, on the weekend, I would just let him be extremely rambunctious because it was a medication that he didn't have to take every single day. I would just let him be extremely rambunctious. He loved outside. He's like, I'm going. You stay where I can see you.
You let him be a boy.
I let him be a boy.
Oh,
exactly.
Well, so after you took your course in psychology, you said, is it psychology? How did you end up down this way? Because you were northern Louisiana now. You have two homes, right? One in Mississippi.
One in my permanent residence is in Mississippi, and I live part-time in Metairie now.
Okay, so and the reason you have two different residences
is we actually have two practices. One in Gulfport, Mississippi, and the other one we just opened up Metairie here 1 year ago. In fact, this month.
Okay, and that's where we're sitting right now.
Exactly.
And so you have clients, I mean, how do you balance all that? Your kids are all grown, so now you don't have as many people pulling you in different directions, right?
This is true, but guess what?
What?
3 of the 5 work in the office.
No way. What do they do?
One takes care of human resource, new patient registration. The second one does marketing for the entire business. So any of our social media that you see online, she does that. And the third daughter actually takes care of insurance and filing claims and verifying insurance.
And they're all Rivers. They've been married, right?
They've been yes.
Oh wow, the Rivers group is strong, deep and wide, ready to. Okay, so now tell me. Since that time, you have developed this thriving business for therapy services. Is there, I don't know much about the therapy world. Do you choose a lane that you like to stay in as far as who you like to help and what you like to do?
I mainly see adults, individuals. I enjoy groups, but we will take a particular topic for groups. We just had a group about 2 weekends ago. I'll just take a Saturday, and we did a self-love group, a journey of transformation and self-love. I create the curriculum for it, and all of the PowerPoints. And so it's a self-evidence, evidence-based curriculum that I particularly build also.
So if somebody was looking for therapy services, what would be, I guess, the ideal client that you would say, reach out to me?
Ideal. Oh, I love trauma, women, trauma, and finding great coping skills.
Okay. And women of any age?
Any age.
Yes. Trauma.
Yes.
Trauma.
Trauma.
That's where we specialize too. I mean, yes. I don't want to say we specialize, but we definitely see our share of trauma because that is what cancer can do for sure.
Yes.
So think back to when I had you join my advisory board and we had this idea about the story crafting because it was during the pandemic and we had the opportunity to live stream stories on over a 3-day weekend because we couldn't have a live show. And I'm going to remind the listeners that the reason I created Story Crafting was that we had a magazine and we would ask the ladies to tell their story. And the story was always exactly the same. It was like I'll never forget when I got cancer, and this is the surgery, and these are the treatments, the end. And I was always just, you know, kind of like, did you forget the rest of your story? Did you forget who you are as a woman? Did you forget what brought you to the point of being able to battle that cancer? You have an entire life that preceded that gave you the skills or the fight, or, you're forgetting that you told me you raised alpacas, you jumped out of airplanes, you worked for Mick Jagger. Like, there's so much more to you. And so story crafting allowed us, because of the pandemic, to record these stories and play them over a 3-day period of time, because everybody was shut in their houses. And instead of having 50 ladies tell that same cancer story, we got to really get to know the ladies. So when I asked you if you would participate in that group, it was really interesting because it was a test for us. And we were all trying to figure out, is this going to work? And why don't we all approach it from our own personal experiences? One of the things that was fascinating to me was one of our team members, I'll just say her name, Angela. I worked with her up until that point for about 8 years, thought I knew everything about her. And then she comes and joins story crafting and starts sharing what she felt safe enough and brave enough to, in the small group, this online group that we had, to just say, you know what, I'm tired of hiding behind the pain and the shadows. And it was affecting her attitude as a parent. And so she started sharing all this stuff. And I'm like, how come I never knew this? Well, you don't take the time to really get to know people on that level. But it was like someone opened a door and set her free. And then she shared this story. First, she shared it anonymously. And then she said, you know what? I'm putting my name behind that story. But for you, do you remember what the subject matter is that you tackled? I know it had something to do with being going through a breakup.
Yes, it was relationship.
Relationship.
It was relationship. As a therapist, I feel like sometimes I don't get a chance to be vulnerable. Or even human sometimes. I do believe since Storycraft that I have taken more opportunities to be vulnerable with my patients. If it's something that touches me, I cry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just like they have a box of tissues sitting beside them, I have a box sitting beside me. If there's something that resonates with me, I say, you know what, that happened to me too. I think as a therapist, it helps in that space to be human.
Yeah. One of the biggest fears that I hear ladies say when they first get into story crafting is they're afraid to dig up the information. And I'm sure you hear that every day.
Yes.
So what do you think there's a downside to not digging up? Or is it okay to always, for instance, I think, well, it exists, it is in your subconscious, right? And does it affect the way you live or not? Like, can you bury it, and will it come out eventually in some form in health, into the physical health or relationships, the way you look at life? I watch these ladies who take the chance to be vulnerable, and they soar. The freedom I watch when they start expressing themselves. And when they write their story, we say, hey, listen, if there's part of that you don't want to say to the world, you're just more comfortable saying that in the group, that's great. But you could always write a version that's a little bit more generic. Like, for instance, if a grandfather sexually abused you when you were a child, and you want to talk about that, but you don't necessarily want to say those words because the family is going to be involved in listening to the story, then you could say, something generic. Like, I had some disturbing things happen to me when I was a kid. But like, what do you think is the downside of bearing traumatic experiences?
I have to agree with you. I think that it comes out in one form or the other, either, mentally or physically. It will manifest itself somewhere. So acknowledging it, saying, you know what, this hurts, this bothers me, I don't feel well when I do this, this reminds me of this. And sometimes you have to do that in your own time. And I think that's the beauty also of story crafting, because you're the person that actually is in control of that story, of navigating through your story. You get to tell as much as you want, or as little as you want
Yeah.
of that particular story. And sometimes I think when you get to a place of being comfortable of addressing those issues, then that opens the door to be a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper into those stories. But I feel like you definitely have to move at your own pace at your story crafting.
Yeah. And what's interesting about story crafting from our perspective is the own pace is that they do sign up as a group and work together through 6 required homework. So we do sort of force them to go at our pace in some way. But I watch and I marvel at, the power within the group. So when somebody is scared, and usually we have about 6 or 7 ladies in each group, it's so interesting that the coach who's leading doesn't necessarily have to be the one that creates the solution, because all of a sudden you watch them all rally around each other and start like, oh my gosh, that was beautiful. Are you okay? Or like, I feel you, or thank you so much for sharing. And then the bond they all start forming where they're like, there's just such power in that acceptance of being a raw truth, and for being vulnerable.
Right. I think also it gives meaning to your chaos in some of that.
Oh, yes.
And also the visibility of your story. You have others that support you in your space, because now you've allowed someone else to see inside your world.
Yeah.
And you find out that you're really not there by yourself.
Yeah. Now, one of my favorite things, my very favorite thing about story crafting is the fact that we require the ladies to assign a metaphor to their experience.
Yes.
And what I love about that, this is what's so fun. And so sadly, in a current group situation that we have going on, the coach had to drop out because she has a tongue cancer that's returned, and they're cutting out 90% of her tongue. It's awful. And they're going to rebuild it with part of her thigh. Okay. And she's going to lose her speech, and she's going to have a long recovery. She's getting tricky on me. So I just wanted to send my love and prayers to Coach Pam, who is going through this right now. But I had to take over Pam's group. Now, I wouldn't say I get the pleasure of being the coach of this group that I'm working with presently in Rhode Island. And so the first week when you say, okay, tell us what your traumatic experience is that you're talking about. And it's not always cancer. It could be cancer or cancer plus or something completely different. But then we say, assign a metaphor to it that helps paint a picture in your head and paints a picture for the audience of what you're trying to convey. Like, I feel like I'm a garden that's just full of weeds, and it used to be so beautiful, and it's become overgrown, and the weeds are deep rooted, and I don't even have the strength to go in and start one by one picking it out. And so then over the course of the story crafting, as they weave that metaphor into their real life experience, at the end it wraps around and becomes like a beautiful garden comes out, and those weeds did get pulled, and some of those beautiful flowers that were there in the first place, just shine now. And so that's an example of a metaphor. But I really love watching the aha moment when the ladies who are trying to explain their trauma connect it to the metaphor, and then all of a sudden it becomes this like a movie in their head that they're projecting, and it just comes to life. It's not just like me talking about my problem. It's like this beautiful analogy and story. So what say you about that?
I was trying to remember. I always, mine at that time, I think, was a diamond, how diamond gets put in the fire over and over again.
Yes.
And you just keep chipping away until you get this beautiful piece.
Right.
I can resonate that even in therapy. I see that so many times where we don't necessarily give it a metaphor, but we do name the ugly. And it could be, depression or anxiety. And when we feel that, we name it, we see it, we're like, okay, today, guess what? depression does not get me today. There's positive affirmations. There are things that necessarily you have to put in place in order to craft a new narrative for your space, and that takes work. And so I think in comparison to story crafting, some of that same thing happens in the therapy setting.
What are some of the most favorite things that you love about your job?
The aha moments. Yeah. When I can sit back and say, oh, that's not too terrible. They're like, what? My life is falling apart. I was like, no. Wait, sit still in it. Let's learn some meditation. Let's learn some grounding. Let's learn to surrender. That's been big for me as also a therapist and also for my patients. When you surrender, you allow life to take you along the flow. You sit in those feelings, whether they're uncomfortable. And being in those uncomfortable positions is almost like, for me, it's like warrior position in yoga. It's your entire body is engaged in that.
Right.
And so you hold it and you hold it. And she says, your instructor will say, a few more seconds. Okay. And you hold it in just for a few more seconds. So in life, it's only a few more seconds before this too shall also pass.
Yeah.
All right. And what's the narrative that you will conclude or draw after that? How did that position make you stronger, make you better as a person? What did it do for you as a human? Not what it did for anybody else or anyone else that was included in that. How did it polish you for the next level or the next thing that you have to face in life? So I think that's really the beautiful piece that I see a lot of times in therapy, where people can sit still in some of the chaos and learn new techniques that actually elevate them to the next level when something else is faced. And so when they have it again, they're like, oh, I did this before. It's good.
Yeah. Now, one unique feature of what we do, I always like, Rita, we are definitely known for asking women to step outside of their comfort zones in our program. But as a group, so they're all in it together. Nobody's ever alone. Like, okay, if she could do it, I could do it, or we're going to encourage each other. But one of the things we do is after they craft their story, we record it and share it on this podcast, the Still I Rise podcast, and we have a magazine. What do you think is the value and importance of then putting it out? I mean, first to the person and then to the audience. Like, first, let's talk about the person. Like, what is the growth that can happen when you're brave enough to be able to speak it outside of the group?
I believe when you speak it, you own it. It's yours, right? The second thing is, when you share your story with other people, there's always someone else that thinks they are alone in this journey. And knowing that you have experienced some of the same things or something similar gives them hope that them being at day 1 and you're at day 475 of this journey, that there is hope for them between day 1 and 475.
Yeah, that's so true. And another thing I've noticed too, so on my last few episodes, I revisited some of the ladies who went through the program 2 years ago, and I had them listen to their story that they read 2 years ago, and they all sit there. I'm with them as they listen, and most of them have tears in their eyes. And I say, why are you tearing up? And they say, because it just sounds like somebody else. So like knowing that they did live that, but they transitioned and they did transform. It's really another very touching moment for them to think, wow, I don't feel like that person anymore. Mm-hmm. So, if they didn't go through the program, would they still be carrying that inside of them? Exactly. Like, just to release it is to escape it or to move on. And like you said, to take ownership of it.
Yeah.
So, okay. Now I know you have written several books. I don't know if there's any that you want to share that are of interest. I would love to know about those. I
have She Is, which was a collaboration of different pieces that I'd written over the years, going through divorce, discovering my son had ADHD, moving into my own apartment for the very first time in my life, never living on my own. I literally went from my father's house to my husband's house, figuring out who I was outside of being a mother and a wife. And so that's a collaboration of all of those pieces. She is Power of Hope, is a positive affirmation book, co-author on 2 other books, a contributing author on 2 other books, working on 2 more now. We have Girl Get Your Life Together also, which is an online course, and it focuses on a transformative journey in the 8 areas of wellness, holistic wellness. And so it's very hard to keep balance sometimes because you and I, again, we have not seen each other in a while or spent some quality time together, because life happens in all of these areas of our life where we try to juggle. And so just having a better quality of life when we have goals set in all 8 areas of those and being able to reach those goals just gives us hope for, having a better quality of life.
Would it be okay if I asked you what those 8 areas are?
Sure. They're your mind, body, soul, social, intellect, occupational, environmental.
What do you think are the areas we neglect the most? Or is it just a combination?
I think it's a combination, and it's individual. It really does take a balance, and making it a part of life for you. It is a way of life, and keeping all of those areas balanced there.
Yeah, so like if you're more intentional and understand that each of those contributed to your whole.
Yes, it does.
And if one part is suffering, then the rest can suffer.
Yes,
right.
That's right.
So when you're aware that, wow, like I'm neglecting the physical, I'm neglecting the spiritual, how can I give that area just a little bit more love?
Yes,
right.
That's correct.
So when is this program available for people to take?
It's actually available now on Teachable. I could send you the link and you can post it
in the show notes.
Perfect.
Yes. And how can they find out about the rest of what you do? Do you have a website?
Yes, riverspsychotherapyservices.com. You can go there, take a look at. We have several therapists that work within the practice. I am the chief therapist of our practice there. I'm the only clinician that's at the Metairie office right now. So even available here, we're even at weekend hours. So if someone says, well, I can't take off from work, we have weekend hours, and we also offer virtual sessions.
Gosh, you're a busy woman.
I love it.
And I know you do.
I love it.
What words of advice would you give to these sweet women that I work with who are battling cancer, if you had some?
Love yourself.
That makes me want to cry.
You need to take the time to love you, because if you can't pour back into yourself, you definitely can't give it to anyone else. My saying is, what is in the cup is for you. What spills over on the sides, on the saucer, anything outside of that cup is for everybody else.
That is so great. And what you fill in your cup is so important.
Yes.
I love it. Well, I enjoyed sitting with you. Is there anything that you wanted to say outside of what we covered that we might have missed?
No, I think we got it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we need more time.
Let's put that in our cup. Okay. Well, I love you so much, and thank you so much for being my guest today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Have a great day.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today for this amazing conversation. I want to thank my guest, Dr. Rivers, and I invite you to join me next week on the Still I Rise podcast as I share my third story called Salt. I've been working on this story for the last 2 years, and I finally finished it, and I cannot tell you how much I love my story, because it sums up everything I've been feeling about the subject matter of hanging on to things that no longer serve us. So be sure to join me next week as I read my story and tell you how the story came to be. Have a great week, everybody.